Across America, there are houses where walls whisper, floors remember footsteps, and windows watch you back. These aren't just ghost stories, these are real places where history refuses to stay buried. But here's the question: what happens when the spirits inside refuse to let go? Tonight, we uncover the top 5 most haunted houses in America, places so terrifying, some visitors never return the same. And trust me, when the real suspense begins, you won't be able to look away. So if you want to hear this story till the end, or you want more chilling stories like this one, make sure to subscribe right now and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Because what you're about to hear might just follow you long after this video ends. They say in America, every house carries a story, but some stories refuse to stay buried. Some walls breathe, some floors whisper, and some doors hold back more than just the wind. And tonight, we step into the 5 most haunted houses in the country, places where the line between the living and the dead has long since vanished. The first stands in San Jose, California. The Winchester Mystery House, a sprawling mansion of endless halls and stairways that lead to nowhere. It was built by Sarah Winchester, the widow of the gun magnate, who believed she was haunted by the souls of those killed by the Winchester rifle. She built day and night, hammering wood into walls and raising ceilings into strange shapes, hoping to confuse the spirits. Even now, tourists claim they feel hands on their shoulders when no one is there. Some say Sarah's spirit still wanders, trapped in the house she never finished. But while California holds one ghostly marvel, deep in the American South, Louisiana hides another. The Myrtles Plantation, in St. Francisville. A picture-perfect southern home draped in Spanish moss, yet legend calls it one of the most haunted places in the country. It's said that at least 10 murders have stained its past, though history argues otherwise. Still, guests whisper about a woman in a green turban who appears in the mirror, believed to be Chloe, a servant whose tragic fate still lingers. Children's laughter is heard where no children live, and footsteps echo across the wide wooden porch at midnight. Further north, Massachusetts holds a house that seems almost frozen in time. The Lizzie Borden House in Fall River. Americans know the rhyme, Lizzie Borden took an axe, a story of brutal murder in 1892. Today, the house is a bed and breakfast, and brave guests pay to sleep in the rooms where Lizzie's father and stepmother were hacked to death. Some wake in the night to the sound of muffled weeping, or the heavy thud of footsteps on the narrow staircase. And the question that still hangs, was Lizzie guilty, or did something darker take hold of her that day? But on the East Coast, in Amityville, New York, there is a house that turned into a legend. The Amityville Horror House, a Dutch colonial home where Ronald DeFeo murdered his entire family in 1974. Later, the Lutz family moved in, claiming they were terrorized by swarms of flies, green slime oozing from walls, and a voice that told them to get out. Hollywood carried the story across America, but locals know the house still stands, its windows shaped like watchful eyes. Whether the horror was real or imagined, the weight of tragedy never left its walls. And finally, in Kentucky, there is Waverly Hills Sanatorium. A hospital once filled with tuberculosis patients, where thousands perished during the epidemic of the early 1900s. Long corridors echo with the sounds of gurney wheels, and the infamous body chute once carried the dead out of sight to keep hope alive for the living. Visitors claim to see shadow people darting through the halls, to hear soft cries in the dark, to feel an icy hand slip into theirs. And somewhere on the top floor, room 502, the story goes that a nurse ended her life, and some believe she never left. 5 houses. 5 places where history and horror intertwine. But the question lingers, why do these houses hold on to the dead so tightly? Is it grief, violence, unfinished lives, or something deeper buried in the foundation of America itself? Maybe the real terror isn't in the walls at all. Maybe it's in the stories we tell ourselves, the way we can't look away when the past stares back. And yet, one house still waits, its story not fully told. Some say it rests quietly on a forgotten back road, its paint peeling in long, gray strips, its windows boarded yet breathing. Neighbors whisper about lights glowing inside when the electricity's been cut for decades. A rocking chair creaks on the porch when the wind is still. And those who dare to drive past at night swear they see a figure in the upstairs window, standing perfectly still, watching, always watching. The strange thing is, no one seems to remember when the house was built. Property records vanish. Old maps don't show it. Yet it has always been there, as if the earth itself pushed it up, brick by brick, to hold on to something it refuses to release. Locals warn that if you stop your car near the front gate, it won't start again until you hear the whisper. No one agrees on what the whisper says. Some say it's your name, spoken softly in a voice you recognize but can't place. Others say it's a question, one you're too afraid to answer. And every year, one traveler disappears on that road. No car found. No footprints in the dirt. Only a faint trail leading up the hill, ending at the front porch of the house no one dares to enter. But if these stories are true, if such a place exists, then why has no one ever dared to step inside? Or is it possible that someone already has, and never returned to tell what waits in the dark? Doors open, headlights still burning, engines idling as if the driver had stepped out only moments before. But no wallets, no phones, no trace of who they were or where they went. Just silence, heavy and suffocating, as though the earth swallowed them whole. Some investigators once tried to map the property, armed with cameras and recorders. The footage they captured showed hours of static, but every so often, a single frame slipped through. A face pressed against the lens, pale and contorted, eyes wide with something between rage and sorrow. When the team returned to review the tapes, one of them never showed up. His car was found in the lot, his keys still in the ignition. The locals don't mention his name anymore. As if speaking it aloud might draw the house's attention back to them. And still, that upstairs window waits. The one where the figure is said to stand. Some claim if you stare too long, the figure doesn't just watch you. It begins to move closer. Closer, until its outline sharpens against the glass. Closer, until you can almost make out its face. But no one ever describes what they see, because those who admit to looking claim they blacked out before the figure could come into focus. And when they wake, they find themselves standing on the front porch, hand resting on the doorknob, heart pounding as if the house itself had called them forward. What happens if someone opens that door? No one knows. Or maybe, no one who has opened it has ever made it back to tell. There are theories, of course. Some believe the house isn't haunted by the dead at all, but by something older, something that feeds on fear, pulling travelers off the road and into its hollow chest. Others whisper it's a gathering place for every restless soul in America, a vessel for grief and violence, collecting shadows from all across the land. And yet, the strangest part is this. Sometimes, people claim they dream of the house before they've ever seen it. They wake up remembering the porch, the rocking chair, the window with the figure waiting inside. They swear the dream feels like an invitation. An invitation they know, sooner or later, they won't be able to ignore. And when those dreams return, they grow sharper. The peeling paint isn't just a blur, it's white, cracked like old bone. The porch boards groan under your weight, even though you're not really there. The rocking chair moves by itself, slower each night, as though waiting for you to finally sit. One woman from the nearby town confessed she dreamed of the house for months before disappearing. Her journal was found later, tucked under her mattress, filled with drawings of that same upstairs window. Page after page, the figure grew clearer, its hands pressed flat against the glass, its head tilted as though listening for her. On the final page, the figure wasn't in the window anymore. It was standing behind her. That's why the locals avoid the road altogether now. Even in daylight, even with friends beside them, no one dares to drive past. Because once the house knows you've seen it, once it's slipped into your dreams, it doesn't matter how far away you go. It always finds a way back to you. Some people try to fight it. They burn sage, they leave crosses on their doorways, they pray until their voices shake. But the dreams return anyway, stronger each time, until sleep itself feels like a trap. And then, without warning, the dreams stop. The silence tricks them into thinking they're free. But freedom never lasts. Because the next time they look in a mirror, just for a fraction of a second, the reflection behind their shoulder isn't their house, their room, their world. It's that upstairs window. And in it, the figure is closer than ever. The stories always end the same way. A car abandoned. A family photo left behind. A name crossed off the town's memory like it was never spoken at all. And still the house waits, patient, quiet, as though it knows its next guest is already on the way. Some claim the road itself leads you there, bending in ways it shouldn't, drawing your tires toward that hidden hill even when you swear you're driving straight. The GPS goes blank, the radio turns to static, and the world outside your windows feels stretched, unfamiliar. By the time you realize where you're headed, it's already too late. The house is waiting at the end of the bend, rising out of the mist like it's been expecting you. One boy who escaped, or at least thought he did, spoke of hearing voices in the trees as he ran. They weren't shouting, they weren't whispering. They were calling his name in perfect harmony, dozens of voices layered on top of each other, like a choir of people he almost recognized. But when he turned to look, the trees were filled with eyes, glowing faintly, watching him stumble back to the road. No one believed him, of course. They said shock made him imagine it. But he never spoke again after that night, not one word, as if he'd left something important behind in those woods and couldn't live without it. And now, when the wind cuts through that valley, travelers say it carries faint echoes of those same voices, still calling, still waiting, still asking for someone new to answer. Locals swear the voices aren't just random sounds. If you listen long enough, you'll hear your own name threaded into the chorus, drawn out soft and slow, as though the house already knows who you are. Some describe it as comforting at first, like a loved one calling you home. But the longer you listen, the more it twists, the tone turning hollow, the syllables stretching too far, as though the voice itself is unraveling. One man who heard it pulled over, unable to resist. He stepped out of his truck and followed the sound into the tall grass. The last thing he managed to dial on his phone before it cut out was a single word, home. The phone was later found near the gate of the house, screen cracked, battery dead, though it had been fully charged just hours earlier. The man was never found. Some say the house doesn't just take people, it keeps pieces of them. A voice, a shadow, a memory left hanging in the halls like dust. And maybe that's why it grows stronger with every passing year. Because every soul it gathers only adds another note to its song. And that song never stops. Visitors claim if you press your ear against the front door, you can hear it, an endless hum, low and steady, like a choir buried deep beneath the floorboards. It isn't music exactly, but it pulls at something inside you, a rhythm that feels older than language itself. Some people say it matches your heartbeat, syncing with it until you can't tell which is yours and which belongs to the house. The brave ones who've dared to record it never come back with proof. Every tape, every file, plays back only silence. Except for one. A scratchy reel found decades ago in a box at a yard sale. Most of the tape was blank, but in the final seconds, a single voice can be heard, clear as day, whispering, "Asterisk, let me in." Asterisk. No one knows who recorded it. No one knows how it ended up there. But the box also contained an old, rusted key with no markings. A key that, when shown to the townsfolk, made every one of them turn away, refusing to touch it, refusing even to speak. The key has since gone missing. Some believe it was stolen. Others believe it was claimed. Finally returned to the door it was meant to open. And ever since the key vanished, the stories have grown darker. People no longer just see the figure in the window or hear the voices in the trees. Now they speak of doors slamming open on their own, even miles away from that road. Of waking in their own homes to find muddy footprints across the floorboards, footprints that stop right beside their bed. A farmer swore he saw lantern light flickering across his field at midnight, bobbing slowly toward his house. But when he stepped outside, the field was empty, until he turned back and saw the same light glowing faintly in his upstairs window. His house had no lanterns. The sheriff's office stopped filing official reports years ago. Too many missing persons, too many cases with no evidence except for that one name whispered again and again. The name of the road. The road that no longer appears on any map, but somehow always finds its way beneath your wheels when you're not paying attention. And the worst part. Some nights, the figure isn't in the window anymore. Some nights, the window is empty, the rocking chair still, the porch silent. And that's when the locals say you should be afraid the most. Because if it's not in the house, it means it's already somewhere else. Some swear that's when the dreams change. No longer about the house, no longer about the window. Instead, you see your own room, your own bed, your own walls, but something is different. The shadows stretch too far. The corners feel too deep. And in the reflection of your mirror, you notice a shape standing just behind you, blurred, waiting. A teenager once told his friends that he dreamt of the figure leaning down, whispering into his ear. When he woke, the words were still ringing in his head. Asterisk, you left the door unlocked. Asterisk. His parents found him the next morning sitting at the kitchen table, front door wide open, his eyes. And once it's chosen you, there's no undoing it. Those who've tried to throw it away find it back in their pocket. Those who've buried it wake to the sound of digging outside their window, soil shifting as if unseen hands are unearthing it again. And those who've tried to destroy it, fire, hammer, even acid, say the metal never bends, never melts, never fades. One family drove 5 states away, locked the key inside a safety deposit box, and swore they'd never return. But a month later, their youngest child began humming in her sleep. The same steady rhythm, the same haunting rise and fall. When she opened her hand one morning, the key lay across her palm, warm to the touch. Some believe the key isn't meant to open the house at all. That it opens something inside you. A door you didn't know was there. A door once unlocked, can never be closed again. And maybe that's why no one talks about the figure in the window anymore. Because once the key finds you, the figure doesn't need to watch from afar. It doesn't need the house. It already has a way in. At first, it's subtle. A shadow that lingers too long in the corner of your eye. A reflection in the glass that moves when you don't. The faint creak of floorboards in an empty room, pacing back and forth as though someone is waiting for you to notice. Then come the voices. Not in the distance this time, not carried on the wind. But close, so close you can feel the breath against your ear. They call your name the way a friend might, gentle, familiar, luring you to answer. And if you do, the house is with you, no matter where you stand. One man swore he fought it by never speaking back, never acknowledging what he heard. For weeks he endured the whispers, the footsteps, the feeling of being watched. But silence has its cost. On the final night, he was found in his living room, mouth stretched wide as if screaming, yet no sound had escaped. The key was clenched so tightly in his hand it had cut into his skin. And still no one knows if the key is meant to trap you inside the house, or to let the house out into the world. Some insist the house has already escaped. That it no longer waits on that lonely hill, but moves, piece by piece, wherever the key decides. They claim walls appear where there were none, doors materialize in hallways that never had them, and windows open onto landscapes no one recognizes. Like the house is unfolding itself through people's lives, spreading its bones across America, hiding in plain sight. There are stories of suburban homes where families suddenly find an extra room, a narrow stairway behind a wall they swear wasn't there before. Inside, the wallpaper is faded, the air stale, and a single rocking chair waits in the dark. Always the same chair. Always facing the window that shouldn't exist. One couple in Ohio knocked down such a wall, desperate to erase it. But when the dust cleared, the space was still there, deeper now, stretching further, as though the house had only grown stronger with their defiance. And that night, their neighbors reported screams echoing through the cul-de-sac, though the couple's house stood dark and silent. By morning, the family was gone. Only the rocking chair remained, swaying gently on the porch that hadn't been there the night before. The porch shouldn't have been possible, jutting out into the yard where no foundation had ever been, boards weathered and splintered like they'd stood for 100 years. By noon, the chair had stopped moving, but neighbors swore it was still warm, as if someone had only just risen from it. Reporters came, cameras flashing, crews eager to capture the anomaly. But in every photograph, the porch appeared empty ground, nothing but grass and soil. Only those who stood there in person could see the boards, the railings, the chair. And those who lingered too long described the same sensation. That the house was testing them, deciding whether or not they belonged. Within a week, the yard was fenced off, the family declared missing, the property quietly sold. But late at night, drivers on that street claim they still see the porch in their headlights, even though the lot is bare. Some even swear they've glimpsed a window above it, glowing faintly, with a figure waiting behind the glass. And every time someone reports it, the story spreads further, reaching people who've never stepped foot near that street, people hundreds of miles away. Until one night, they, too, find a new door in their own home. And on the other side, the smell of old wood and dust waiting, as if the house has finally decided. It's their turn. At first, the door won't budge. The knob is cold, unmoving, as though the house is only teasing you. But the longer you ignore it, the more it changes. Some hear soft knocking from the other side, polite and patient, as if asking permission. Others hear scratching, nails dragging down wood, urgent and desperate. And then, one night, the door opens on its own. Those who've seen what lies beyond never describe it the same way. Some say it's a hallway lined with flickering bulbs that buzz but never burn out. Others swear it's a staircase spiraling down into darkness, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and rust. And a few whisper that what waits inside isn't a place at all, but a presence, vast, endless, pressing in from every side, like stepping into the lungs of something alive. The unlucky ones never come back. The luckier ones return, but they're different, hollow-eyed, distracted, as though part of them never truly left. Neighbors notice they keep the lights on all night. They jump at shadows. And sometimes, if you listen close, you can hear them humming under their breath. The same steady hum, the same low, unbroken song that has followed the house for generations. And those who hear it secondhand know the truth too late. That the song isn't coming from the person at all. It's seeping out of the door they brought back with them. The door doesn't always stay in the same place. One night it's in the hallway, the next it's in the basement, sometimes even standing alone in the middle of a room like it doesn't need a wall to hold it. Always closed. Always waiting. Those who try to seal it off, nailing boards across the frame, bricking it up, even burning the room around it, find it somewhere else the next day, untouched, as if nothing had ever happened. And with every reappearance, the humming grows louder. A family in Illinois moved out after finding the door standing at the foot of their child's bed. They left everything behind, furniture, clothes, even their car in the driveway. When police entered the home weeks later, the house looked perfectly normal. Except for one detail. Every mirror, every window, every reflective surface had been shattered from the inside. As though someone, or something, had been trying to claw their way out. And the door was still there. Closed. Silent. Until one officer swore he heard a whisper slip through the crack, soft and clear, like a voice meant only for him. It said, "I've been waiting." He froze where he stood, flashlight trembling in his grip. The others didn't hear it, at least, that's what they claimed afterward. But the officer insisted the words were sharp and undeniable, as though spoken just inches from his ear. When he leaned closer, the whisper came again, this time using his name. That night, he quit the force without explanation. His wife later admitted he hadn't slept since, pacing their home with every light blazing, muttering about locks and keys. 2 weeks later, she woke to find him gone. The only clue he left behind was a trail of muddy footprints leading from their bedroom to the living room wall. A wall where a new door now stood. Neighbors swore they saw movers clear the house, swore the property was listed for sale soon after. But anyone who calls the number on the sign never reaches a realtor. Instead, they hear faint static, then the low hum of that same endless song before the line cuts out. And on certain nights, passers-by say the porch light flickers on by itself. A soft glow spilling across the lawn, waiting to guide someone new to the threshold. Waiting for the next person who dares to listen when the house whispers their name. They say the house never truly disappears, it only waits, drifting like a shadow across America, choosing where to root itself next. For some, it's a roadside glimpse that haunts them for life. For others, it's a dream they can't escape, the same window glowing in the dark no matter how far they run. But perhaps the truth is simpler, and far more terrifying. Maybe the house doesn't belong to any one road or town at all. Maybe it belongs to us. Every whisper we ignore, every shadow we pretend not to see, every door we lock at night and pray stays shut. Maybe those are all pieces of it, spreading through our lives one crack at a time. And if that's true, then the question isn't whether the house is real. The question is, when you finally hear your name called in the silence, will you answer?